most sideways a place for movie conversations. My name is Adam, and after having a movie postponed for over a year to finally drop in 2021, we have Spiral, the book from the book of Saw. Now let's have a good conversation about this film in the comments section. Make sure you guys leave us your thoughts on what you thought about Spiral. And now we're going to get into my review for this film. This movie is directed by David Lynn Bousman. I believe he directed a couple Saw movies. I'm pulling it up on Letterboxd here. So, yeah. So he directed my personal favorite Saw movie, Saw 2. He did Saw 3 and Saw 4, of course. Kind of a hit or miss director in the Saw franchise. I'm not a big fan of Saw 4, but Saw 3 was serviceable at least. Kind of mid-range for me. But Saw 2 definitely is a standout. Spiral here. Stars Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson, two big stars, probably the biggest stars they've ever had in a Saw franchise, I would say. Chris Rock really kind of wanted this movie to happen for a long time, and he kind of had this idea, and I think his idea is probably better than the execution of the film, but there's some good things that this film did as well. Jumping into that plot here, we see this Jigsaw copycat, air quotes, possible copycat, coming after some corrupt cops in South Metro. And Chris Rock's character, Ezekiel Banks, is the detective that this copycat killer wants to solve this case and kind of figure out who's doing these killings. That's kind of the rough plot of it, really. And let's jump right into the things that I kind of thought was working really well with this movie. And I think it's the feel of being back in this world. And they didn't capture the same kind of dirty and grittiness of the original films, but there was still that similarity to the environment and the atmosphere of the Jigsaw killer and Jigsaw films that I kind of felt myself going back into that franchise. I wish they would have been a little darker and a little grimier, but we've had such a gap in time between the films. Yes, Jigsaw was the most recent one that came out, I think 2017, give or take a couple years. But anyway, that was the most recent film. And I've said this before, that Jigsaw movie was the most accessible film in the franchise because of the PG-13 rating. I think Spiral actually is the second most, like, if you want to show your friends a Saw film, Spiral is right up there. It's very accessible to people who maybe don't like the torture porn elements as much as others. The other ones get very brutal and in your face with the gore. This one, there is elements of the gore, but it's not as bad. The traps aren't as, maybe they're graphic, but not as graphic as most that the Saw franchise is known for. I also kind of enjoyed the cop characters, even though they are corrupt cops. I think they all kind of played their role of being really scumbaggy cops. And I get the plot of this film is very dirty cop heavy, and it kind of plays really well into today's climate of the political climate, and also what people kind of think about cops who aren't good cops, you know. So I definitely plays into that kind of that narrative, and a lot of people are going to like that. A lot of people will not like it, of course, but I kind of find myself, I get what they're doing. I think at times it feels a little heavy-handed, especially there was a line that Jigsaw didn't go after cops, but he kind of did. He didn't go after them per se, but cops were very much a part of the game. The cops definitely were the ones that had to go in and try to save people too. Did we not forget Detective Matthews? Did we not forget Riggs and other countless other detectives and police members of the police force in the previous Saw movies? That's the one thing kind of nitpicked. I didn't really like that dialogue. But anyway, back to the main cast here. All the other characters played their characters really well. And I actually kind of enjoyed Chris Rock here. He was maybe overacting a touch. He was. But again, he definitely is by far one of the better actors that the franchise has had, and he definitely leads the narrative in a pretty interesting way that I'm curious to see what they do with the franchise moving forward. I guess in a negative way, that Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock being in here, they're great in it. They're fun to be in this franchise. However, it feels like every time you see them, it's like you don't see those characters they're playing because they're such a big name actors compared to everybody else in the franchise, that it's clearly Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock. And might take you out of it a little bit. These traps, going to the traps now, they are effective. There's gross, especially the fingery trap that I won't mention here. It's very effective. Uh, I feel though they're a little amateur for the Jigsaw franchise. He is a copycat, so who knows if they do a sequel to Spiral, then they might ramp up their game there and the kills. I kind of wish they would have maybe. I kind of want to try to be careful what I say. I don't want to go into spoilers here. But I wish they maybe would have had more references to the previous Saw franchise. They did mention John Kramer quite a bit, but you kind of knew that going into the movie. Some things I didn't quite like about it was, yeah, Chris Rock was overacting, and I definitely got taken out of it a little bit. However, I found the movie kind of predictable near the end of it. Who was going to be this killer? And I'm not going to say who it is, but as people start falling off, it kind of is clear who the person who was committing these crimes is. And it feels like it was kind of just this Jigsaw franchise is known for having those cliffhangery endings and just kind of ending the film at a point where you see what's going to happen next. This film definitely does that, and I'm curious to see if they're going to make a second one because of the climate of movies right now, because my theater wasn't packed, of course, of the pandemic. So yeah, we went to see it, and we enjoyed ourselves and had fun with the theater, but this experience. But depending on how the box office does for the movie, do they see it's financially responsible to make a second one? I hope they do, because I would like to see more into this world, and especially these new characters of Ezekiel Banks. And some of the negative things too is that it feels like it's clearly the most accessible film in this franchise, or one of them, and so it's extremely polished compared to the dirty and the gritty and the griminess of the other 7 films, not including Jigsaw. And so that for me makes it feel like a studio film, a studio ramped up film, and that it's just there for marketing, and it's just put in your face for that. But overall, I found myself having a good time with the movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing this one again. There are some things that do hold it back from giving it a positive grade. I do think it's mid-tier Saw franchise. I think it's like my 5th or 6th film, and my favorite film in the franchise. I'm end up giving this movie a 2.5 out of 4 stars on an almost sideways scale. But that's just my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this film? Let me know in the comments section down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, or saw that subscribe button in half, and join our conversation here almost sideways. We also have a podcast streaming on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and Pandora. Make sure you guys give us a listen, subscribe there for more additional content. That's not just video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, my name is Adam. I'll see you later.